like making some serious money. So at the end of
All right, welcome to another episode here with the Young Startup. Today we have a good friend of ours, known him for so long. It's been like, what, 10 years at least, probably? From like elementary school?
Probably longer.
Yeah. Crazy story, but Ethan Smart, he's a good friend. Also, not so much necessarily a business partner, but he's been, part of what we've built and along the process, very entrepreneurial. And today we're going to talk about his story in building a multi-seven-figure company locally in the distribution space, which I'll let him talk a little bit more about. But super excited to have you, man. Always start off by getting you to do an introduction to yourself. We can talk a little bit more about our paths together and how that aligns and everything like that. But who you are, a little bit about your story, and whatever else you want to say.
All right. I guess where do I start? I'll start with BCIT college. I mean, you guys recommended I go there. It was a really good school, honestly. I think everyone who comes out of BCIT has got a really good head on their shoulders. But I didn't find that the material, the course content was satisfying my like craving. I knew there was something that like I wanted and I just didn't know how to get it, but leaving felt like the right move. So I was there for one semester. I think it ended in December 2017.
Yeah.
So I left, and that was a big deal because I was a really good student growing up, like really good in high school. I got like scholarship to go to BCIT. I was doing really good in BCIT as well. So my parents obviously didn't take it lightly.
Classic parents.
They got a lot of pressure from family, like my grandparents, other people just saying like, what are you doing? Like, don't let him leave school. But I guess they had a little bit of faith in me, and my dad works with a lot of other business owners who are really successful, and they said like, I didn't go to school either. So I guess that kind of opened his horizon. So that was good. When I left though, I freaked out. It was like the first time where I was like, no, I'm gonna do it by myself, and then I was by myself, and it was really scary because I felt like I really needed to do something. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and it was just like I felt pressured, like I need to do something now. So previously, like we drop shipped, or like we tried drop shipping together, and so I had discovered AliExpress, Alibaba, talking to suppliers and learning how to do that stuff. So that's kind of the first thing I resorted to. Was like, I'm going to build a drop shipping site, and I'm just going to go all out on that. And then I started thinking, what could I sell? And I knew Juul at the time was really big in the States, and they weren't in Canada. There was no pod system vape in Canada. So I thought that would be a good product. I could even just sell that to my friends and make enough money to start something at least. And so I looked into that for a long time. And I was gonna call it Pearl. I was working at Nissan at the time, so I got a full-time job, obviously, just to cover myself. So I met Cam at Nissan, and he designed a logo for Pearl. It was PURL. And I went through a lot of work I made hundreds of phone calls with like border services, import brokers, trying to figure out if I could import nicotine because all the products were pre-filled. And no one could give me a straight answer. So I didn't want to risk ordering like $20,000 worth of stuff. Simultaneously though, I also wanted pods that were going to be filled with like concentrates. Distillate. So Nick, he worked in a dispensary And I was talking to him to say, like, if you could get this product in the dispensary, I'm also going to try to get the nicotine pods in, like, Vape Street and, like, all these other vape stores. So if you can get it in the dispensary, I'll give you, like, percentage of the sales that come out of there. And we expanded on that conversation, but after so long without it progressing, because I couldn't figure out if I was
ship it.
right, if I could ship it in, no one could tell me, and I wasn't willing to risk it. I wasn't like made of money, so.
You were 19. What? No, 17 or 18.
I was 18.
18.
I was 18. Yeah. So yeah, it was a lot of money at the time, and Nick eventually said, you know, I've got a lot of people asking me about these, like vapes, packaging. I'm bringing it in for my store here. It seems like there's a really good business here.
Yeah.
And he ordered all of his stuff from a company called Kush Bottles. So he showed me Kush Bottles, and he's like, they're doing like $50 million a year right now. They're a very new company. Like, no one's doing this in Canada. So I said, like, screw Pearl. Like, this looks like a way better opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry. Way better opportunity, and I don't need any licenses to do it. So that's how we got started on the company called High Deal, which was essentially a cannabis packaging company. We ended up bringing Cam on board to do all of our design work, to design like custom labels and whatnot for all the customers. And another person I met at Nissan was Lorenzo. He was a good friend of Cam's and my other buddy there, Mark's. But Lorenzo came on, so for the first year and a half, almost 2 years actually, of High Deal, it was the three of us in like a little 10 by 12 room that we painted like bright green.
Why bright green?
Weed.
Oh.
Weed. So we painted it bright green. And that's where High Deal really started, was in that little, we call it the green room.
The green room.
Love it. Yeah.
Cool, man. I mean, you know, obviously super inspiring, walking away from a scholarship, walking away from BCIT. I knew you were super smart. I know how well you did in your first semester of BCIT. But obviously you had that entrepreneur in you from a kid, you know what it sounds like. And I remember back in high school, you know, you were always hustling. You were flipping cars. You were like, I think you had a boat at one time. But you always had ideas. Like, you were the guy that always sparked the idea. Where do you feel like that came from? You mentioned your dad as a business owner, but where do you think that entrepreneurial drive really came from as a kid?
Ooh, I don't know. My dad definitely always had some things going on. I always saw a lot of people kind of complain about their current circumstances. And my dad, like, he didn't like where he worked, per se.
Mm-hmm.
He always felt like he was going to be somewhere else. And so, like, I seen him have so many different businesses on top of his regular 9 to 5, where he just started something hoping that it would get somewhere. And eventually it did get somewhere. And I got to see that happen. And it was rather than just like complaining about it, he just did it.
Yep.
And I think having the exposure to that really made a difference for me. But I've had a lot of ideas from a young age. I think I was just very creative.
Yeah.
I always did my own thing, like in math class, like, or physics, whatever. I would always make my own formulas. You know, I never went with the
status quo.
The status quo.
Yeah.
You know, like what someone told me, you know, like that was a way to do it in my mind, but it wasn't necessarily the way I was going to do it. You know, maybe I had a way that made more sense to me, and often I did, and a lot of other people felt like, oh, that way made a lot more sense to them as well. Like a lot of people I would teach formulas to, just restructuring them.
Yeah, totally.
I like that. I like that a lot, because I think that really stems into what entrepreneurs deal with from a day-to-day nowadays. they understand that they can adopt or learn different processes, but that process is not always going to work within your business. In this scenario, it's not going to work in your mind specifically. And I think the best way to learn is to reverse engineer things and understand it from your point of view as opposed to someone else's point of view. So that's super powerful. So, I mean, in high school, I know that you were a straight A student. You're literally the top student in grade 12, one of the top students within grade 12, and coming out of it. I'm curious to know, going back on the school topic, a lot of people that jump away from school usually have an idea in mind. You know what I mean? They have a safety net. When we left our corporate jobs, we had a safety net. We knew what we were going to do because we were already building prior to. I know you mentioned that it was a feeling, but was there anything else within that? Experience, ideas maybe at the time?
It wasn't necessarily ideas, it was an understanding. I knew that I could learn anything. I think anyone can. If you put the time in, you can learn anything. So leaving school wasn't that big of a deal because if I wanted to, I could go back and I could learn something new.
Yeah.
So my backup plan was always just moving forward, it wasn't necessarily scary for not to work out because I knew no matter what it was going to work out some way because I could learn, and as long as I was doing whatever it was that I wanted to do, that's what I was going to enjoy doing. So
cool.
I don't think I needed a backup plan. It was just understanding that
the conviction.
You can do whatever. Yeah.
Where did you, putting school aside and learning from teachers, and I think the system's corrupt, to be honest with you, exactly like you felt that a lot of things that you were learning were redundant. They weren't things that would be tangible things that you could take action within real life or what you wanted to do. Where did you resort to in terms of learning things that were actually impactful to you? Initially, I think what led me out of college was buying these online courses. Like I learned how to drop ship. That's what got me into this whole B2B space. But those online courses taught me that there was a new way to learn. And I didn't have to resort to this old system. I knew that with those skills, you can get the results. Not with the certificate, it's with the skills. Yeah.
So especially in what I wanted to do, I didn't see myself needing to work for someone because lots of people, they do care about the certificates and in a lot of cases it's important. But I didn't think I was going to need it, and having those online courses, there's so many good programs. Udemy is a big one.
Yeah.
There's there's people who have their niches.
Yeah.
I know Jeremy Haynes, I was really into him for Facebook marketing.
Marketing, yeah, exactly.
He was a genius. I mean, at least back when I was in college. So yeah, that's what really got me out of college.
Yeah, like why scratch the surface on 10 different topics in a semester when you can go all in on one topic and get really good at the one thing that is going to make that needle mover.
And they're current.
And they're current, exactly. Curriculum's so out to date.
How long does it take to make a textbook and then print it and then get it to all the schools, right? How long does it take to make a video?
Yeah.
It's way ahead. It's way ahead. That's the future of education.
E-education is definitely a big space right now. We're seeing it obviously with our coaching brand, our coaching business as well, but yeah, you can learn anything these days.
Yeah.
For a fraction of the cost of tuition.
Yeah, and think about how fast the world is changing like with tech nowadays.
Crazy.
Yeah,
textbooks will not keep up. They will not keep up. So
even like with COVID put into perspective that yes, you can go to school and get lectured, but yes, you can also do that behind a screen at your own home. So they've had to evolve, I'm sure, from a curriculum standpoint and the way they delivered content, which goes to show that very much so. I mean, schools will be around forever, but the way to teach and the way to educate is going to change drastically for sure.
Yeah, I think so. But I do think there's lots of value you can get out of them. Like my friend Adam, he went to school. He got his MBA, and that guy was exposed to so many different areas of business that I didn't know existed. So like when I was starting the company for like the first 2 years, it wasn't until around the third year that we brought Adam on board through a contract. And that's when I really started to realize there's a lot that I don't know, and you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So he was showing me all these different ways to run a business, essentially, that I found so fascinating. Like, because his specialty is operations, and that's what, when he showed me, I realized that's what's gonna be. Well, number one, that's what makes the company successful, and that's what makes the company valuable.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw out of it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, operations is so key, obviously, and we can learn operations as much as we want, but having an expert come in. We were on a call yesterday with one of the masterminds that we're in, and he talked about basically if you want to 10x your business, you can get to 1 million. Like doing 1 million a year, totally doable at your capacity at a local team level. But if you want to get from 1 to 10 million, it's all about who you hire at that point. The systems are there. You can do the lead gen. You have a good product at when you're doing 1 million a year, but how do you get from here to here? It's bringing in people that are better than you. And I think a lot of people in business have that ego inside them that they're like, oh, this person's better than me. I don't want to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be paying him $100,000 a year. It's a little out of budget. But what they don't realize is the return on that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I think I always had a high competence level, but a low confidence level. And so I was always kind of shy, and I think that worked to my favor because when I was talking to other people, I was able to learn so much from them because I didn't assume I wasn't overconfident.
You need more.
Yeah. So I think that really worked to my advantage going into it because, I was so fascinated by what he was showing me.
Yeah.
And same with everyone else who worked within the company. I felt like I could learn from all of them.
100%. Yeah. Always having that growth mindset, open mindset, I think is very big. And when you're building a company, especially one where you care about the culture, I think being open to listening to the feedback from employees is so key. Because, the more narrow-minded you can be, the less the morale is in the office, the harder it is to grow with those people. We were part of a mastermind event in LA last weekend, and we had an individual named Ryan Blair. He sold 3 companies. He's worth I think it's 500 million or something like that. His last company he sold for
782 million.
782 million. Yeah, he sold over $5 billion in products. But one thing that he said that really stuck out to me is when you build a business, people that are there from year 1 to 3 aren't typically there from 5 to 10. And it's because people outgrow each other, all that kind of stuff. And who you think is this is my core group. Their lives change too, right? Maybe they get a lot of success, they make a lot of money with you, then they want to go and do better things.
I would hope that that's the outcome.
Exactly.
And I think that's what made it work for our company was I think I was very good at communicating the vision to the people there, especially the core guys there. I was very good at communicating that vision to them. But I also knew exactly what they wanted, what their vision was for themselves. And so the approach was, and I didn't do this intentionally, I think just looking back on it, that's what made it work. Our vision for the company, if we were to achieve that, that was the best way for them to achieve their goals personally.
Yeah.
And I think everyone as a group understood that. And so in order for them to get what they wanted, everyone wanted to make sure the company achieved that vision. And I think that's why the company, we went through some tough times, and everyone, persevered.
Yeah.
It was, the X factor there.
Yeah, 100%. People are everything. Build the people build the business.
Exactly.
Saying we live by, for sure.
People are everything, but it's also the hardest thing. Hiring is the hardest and the most costly thing that a business can undergo at the end of the day. So I love what you said when you talk about vision, because I think that really stems from leadership and understanding what that is, but having everyone tied into that, everyone bought into that, exactly like you said, they'll persevere during those hard times because they're looking at that flag in the sand that they're
Yeah.
going to work towards at the end of the day. So that's something that I don't want to say struggling with right now, but that's something that we're trying to make sure that everyone is involved with. So we're very much so bringing people in to make sure that they're a part of the vision and the structure of the business, because they're going through a lot of growth right now, which go through a lot of change, operational change specifically as well, infrastructure and things along those lines. And I'd love to pick your brain on that more, because you've worked with someone that has an MBA, someone that's been super successful from an operations standpoint, and I know that you have stemmed a big passion from that. But I want to ask why. Like, why do you think operations specifically is something that it's a necessity within a business, and why you're so fascinated by it in the first place?
Well, I think the way I looked at it was you could have two identical companies, identical in nature. They're both like I could have two ideal solutions. But if you change the operational standpoint that they run on, one company could be 10 times more profitable, the employee satisfaction could be 10 times higher, the customer retention, just by adjusting the operations, you can change the company entirely. And I saw that being so powerful. And it was also exciting because you get to design it. You get to be the architect of how that's going to look. So if you want your business to be really employee focused, you need to make sure that you're implementing systems and processes that are going to allow for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or if like your customers are everything, or if you're really into efficiency and you want to be really lean, those are things you need to look at. You need to start with the end goal in mind. You need to optimize to some standard. We're optimizing this system for that purpose. So I think that's what really opened my eyes to it and made me so excited to work on it.
Yeah.
And also because I realized how badly we were lacking in that area. We grew way too fast, and it wasn't like we scaled. It was just we got busy. We got way too busy. And realistically, we should have cut back and been we need to get our things together. But we're all just so excited. So we, you take on all the business, and what ends up happening is you can't put these systems and processes in place because all of your money is going out to fulfill orders. And so we didn't have any money left over to invest into the infrastructure, which was key. And so everyone's running around. We had salespeople, marketing people, graphic designers. What else we had? Office administration,
Warehouse staff, and there was no ERP. There was no CRM in place. We were all, if an order came through or if a lead came through marketing, they would manually send it to sales. Sales would then figure out who's going to take the lead, and then if the deal closed, they would send it to finance. Yep.
For the pay to come through. And then that order would go to graphic design for them to design it, and then it would have to get sent back and forth between sales. It was
messy.
Creates a lot of opportunity for missing things and gaps.
So many problems. And so we were running with a parachute strapped to our back, right? So when you implement those systems and processes, what happens is you cut the string on the parachute. And so you're using the same amount of effort, but you're going way further.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, I was going to say, what it sounded like, you guys were trading time for money. You were doing, and you were very reactive. You were less proactive and more reactive
Working
to situations.
Harder, not smarter.
Yeah, exactly. You're working harder, not smarter, where we just hired a high performance coach specifically, and one thing that he mentioned, in order to be a high performer, this kind of resonates a lot within business and entrepreneurship as well. In order to be a high performer, it's not about working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. It's not about the hours that you put in order to get to X level. It's about how much you can achieve in lesser amount of time. Ideally, the same amount within, let's say, a 70-hour work week within a 30-hour work week, just due to automation systems, processes that you've built internally within a business or within ourselves, and just being more functional with that. I can't imagine you guys manually going from department to department without any automation there, because if someone screws up, and that goes back to hiring the right people, right? Without the right people, there could be opportunity for you to not be in contact with the customer for multiple weeks if there is that miss there, if you don't trust the employees. So.
Oh man, yeah. There's so much room for error there.
Yeah.
I actually used Monday.com. I got pretty familiar with it, and I built like this pretty well like ERP system that was going to get us through the time we needed until we could implement an actual ERP system.
Mm-hmm.
But even just that little system I built, and it was like, it would move from, there was like the creative projects on there, the design projects, all of our sourcing and logistics projects were on there, all of our pending sales or like our orders that we had to pay vendors. So everything was on there. And after we started looking at where to, like how to implement the actual ERP, I realized like how much information I missed. And like it wasn't a bad thing. I got a lot of it right, actually. I was impressed with myself considering I had no idea what I was doing. Because like you start with like a little flow chart, and it all just kind of comes naturally when you think about it, and you just, how am I going to do this? I don't think there is like a right or wrong way to do it, and usually if you don't look at how it's done previously, you leave a lot of room for innovation. So I like doing things that way, but like we missed so many simple things that are so important, and the reason we missed them was because I didn't have a financial background, and the ops really need to communicate with the finance team. All the financial department really runs, well, the ops are constricted to the
Financial hub,
to the financial hub. All the information that goes through there has to go through the finance team.
Yeah. Which is huge, absolutely. I think, if you don't have money to pay for orders, it gets challenging. That's when things get really, really tough. But yeah, having a process, and that's one thing that I'm proud of myself. I'm the ops guy in our businesses, but having those people and the right people in place is so key and so important. But even me, like I cap out at how much I can learn, how much I can retain, how much time I have to invest to be able to build XYZ, right? What we have can get us from 0 to 2 million, but will it get us to 10 million? Probably not, right? And I think that's where, again, ego set aside, you can't do everything yourself. You hire somebody that's better than you to be able to do that. So I think that's kind of the premise of this conversation, in my opinion, is that we as business owners, as much as we want to do it all ourselves, that's just not feasible when you want to really scale a business.
Yeah. I do think it's good that you start by doing it yourself. There was not a single department there that I didn't have like a very good understanding of how it worked. And so when you go to hire someone, at least you can talk to them, right? And that's just for them. They don't want to be talking to some guy that has no idea, and now they can't get important things through to you because you have no idea. So I think that's just like a mutual respect.
For sure.
But definitely the people you hire there should be way better than you.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to the point of, and we say this within our Amazon business as well as our Amazon students, but learn every component, because at the end of the day, when you do choose to outsource,